Hello! Welcome to Bad at Board Games. I'm Topher, and we're bad at board games, so you don't have to be. Welcome to my top 40 games of all times. We here at Bad at Board Games, Brad and I, are individually going over our top games. So you get to see here my games rated from number 40 up to 31. We are doing these individually all the way down until we get to our top 10. When we get to top 10, Brad and I are going to do those videos together. Until then, we have no idea what's on each other's lists, which I think is kind of a fun way to be able to do this. We've been talking about this for a while. I have an idea of some of the games that's on his list, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to being surprised, and I think he's going to be surprised by some of the games on my lists, so we'll see how this goes. The way I did my top 10, or top 40, top 100 actually, ranking, is I went through and did it twice. I first went to my shelf. I took a look at the games that are on my shelf. I took a look at the app to see how many games I've played, what I ranked, kind of what games are kind of important to me, what games have come to the table for me. And then especially as I look through my shelf, I was like, okay, well, what of these games brings back memories? What of these games are special? So I ranked my top 100 games. And it took me a little bit of time. It was a lot of fun to go through the memories. But then I knew I wanted to see, okay, what does Pub Meeple say? I looked at my BGG list to help me as I went through the sorting, but I really wanted to see what somebody else may help me identify and come up with. If you've never been to the Pub Meeple website to use their ranking engine, it's great. You start by adding in your Board Game Geek account. If you have one, if you have games listed on it, it'll import all those, and then it's pretty much here's 2 games. Which would you rather play? And that's how I took it. If right now I had the option, here's 2 games, which would I play right now? I went through my top 100 and I compared my lists, and they were different. A lot of similarities, obviously, but there's a little bit of differences to it. So I stuck with the Pub Meeple list. I think it's probably a little bit better, real scenario or understanding of what games are my favorite and what should be on my best of all times list. Made a couple changes here or there. We'll see what ends up making it. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start. This video right here is the top games from 40 to 31. And we're going to start with one that actually surprised me, because it's a game that I haven't had a lot of time playing yet. And that is Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. This game I did not think would be on my top 40. I knew it would be somewhere in the top 50, but I did not know it would make the top 40. It's a good game, but it's not a game that I yet have really mastered or gotten the hang of to the point of saying this is going to replace Terraforming Mars, or this is going to be a game that I always want to pull to the table. I've also only played this solo, and I think having played it with somebody else is going to change my mind on whether or not I do like it and keep it on the list, or whether it drops down a little bit further. I thought the mechanics were something I was going to love. It is Race for the Galaxy-ish. It's also Terraforming Mars, which is a game that I adore and you likely are going to see later on in this listing. I didn't know if it would replace it, but I thought I would enjoy it maybe a little bit more than I have so far. With that said, it's still a great game and it solos pretty well. So I'm happy with it. It is on my list. It is number 40. That is Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. Not replacing Terraforming Mars, but it's a good one. So that is number 40. Number 39, I actually do not own a copy of. I've played it with friends. It is a fun little filler game. I do enjoy thinky, long games, but sometimes I just want to play a game for 15-20 minutes with some friends. And it is a game called Spicy. If you have not yet played Spicy, think of something like Liar's Dice. It is a card game. You have cards. You are trying to trick other people to know what cards you have in your hand, so there's a little bit of a deduction in it, but the cards themselves are fun. Every time I have played it, we have just laughed our whole way through playing this game. Simple little game, a lot of fun in it, a lot of laughing. It's called Spicy. Take a look. You'll find it online. It's not the easiest thing. You're not going to find it everywhere, but if you can, pick up a copy of it. Anytime I'm with my friends, we love playing this little game. So that is number 39, Spicy. Number 38 is a new to me game, and it's one that a lot of people adore, and I think that I am going to love it more the more I play it. Root is a beautiful, intricate, asymmetric game. I have not yet played through all the factions. I have played it with Brad. Brad introduced me to the game. It's something that I've wanted to play for a long time, but I could not get my other gaming groups excited enough maybe to get into it with enough of a player count to really make it worth bringing it to the table, picking up a copy and bringing it to the table. If you've never played a Root, it is asymmetric. You're going to have a time thinking through it. The factions, I don't want to say they're imbalanced. You know, you start with the cats. The cats I picked up on pretty quickly. One of the factions that I loved the most was the birds, and it's funny because Brad hated the birds, or at least it seems like he did. It's a very thinky one. I had to really figure out what I was doing, but I ended up playing better with it. I loved them, and so I'm anxious to get to the table some of the other factions, play through them. This plays also very well on the app, so if you do like playing on your phone or playing on any of the tabletop simulators, check out Root. I am not somebody that likes to play board games on my phone. I'm not. But this one actually does play pretty well that way. Also a good way to get to know the game a little bit better. So Root is my number 39. Continuing on, number 37 for me is a deck builder. This is another game that I've only played solo. So I'm kind of surprised that I need to bring this to the table more with my gaming group. When I think of a deck builder, I'm surprised. I think of a deck builder playing with other people. This one plays well enough solo that you don't have to play with other people. It does play a little bit different when you play solo, so it's not going to play the same as if I had two players, you know, sitting there together. It's a dungeon crawly deck builder game. I have Thunderstone Advance. This is, let's see, I've got two of them. So this is Towers of Ruin. I also have another one of the expansions that plays with it. Being able to sit down, draft your cards, and then go fight monsters is just exciting. Who doesn't like that? Being able to curate your deck by bringing in wonderful characters and items to be able to assist you in the quest is great. And the way that the board plays against you also is very exciting. These monsters are coming to you and they are in this dungeon. And so the further away they are, the darker it is. And so these spaces that these monsters are going to be moving into as you play through the game is going to cause you to not be able to see them as well, which means you've got to be able to see better through the darkness to be able to get to them. So not only is it just a dungeon crawler, but it's a dungeon crawler where they are actually moving away from you and making it harder for you to be able to get to them, to fight them, to destroy them, to be able to win. Check this game out. This is a reprint. This is actually one of the standalone expansions, so you don't have to have the initial Thunderstone copy, but Thunderstone Advance, if you get a chance to pick it up, take a look for it. It's a fun little dungeon crawly deck builder game. Moving on to number 36. 36 is another game that I actually do not own. I will. This is one that I have been looking for, trying to find exactly the copy I want. It's been recently reprinted, and I kind of want the older copy. This is a game that some of my very dear friends picked up on a whim. I am a history nut. I love the darker side of history, or what I call the trauma side of history. This game fits along those, kind of. And it was picked up on a whim by my friend, also big into that. The game itself is about a significant event that took place in 1893 in Chicago at the World's Fair. And the game is called World's Fair 1893. In the game itself, you have various locations that you're able to move to. And as you go through those locations, you can pick up amazing things to be able to help you as you fulfill your objectives going around this board. It's got a Ferris wheel in the middle of it, and your Ferris wheel actually can start to move, and so you can actually advance it throughout this track, which is going to start to bring endgame conditions into the game. It feels like you're at a fair to a point. It's not going to be very thematic that you're at that fair, but one of the things I love in it is not just the gameplay, but also the educational side of it. I am an educator. I love history, and this actually is pulling out on the cards the various people that you would have encountered at the World's Fair. It's giving you flavor text that's actually walking you through who these people are, and you get to kind of geek out a little bit, not just in the gameplay, but also on the history of this significant event. So check out World's Fair 1893. You'll be surprised. It is a fun little game. Plays pretty quickly. and actually has some complexity to it that you would never probably imagine from a game like that. So World's Fair 1893, that's my number 36. Getting into 35 is another game that is new to me. This is a game that Brad and I started playing just recently. You will see an unboxing that Brad has of it. So if you go back to the 12 days of unboxing, you will see it's one that he has been looking for a while, looking forward to playing for a while, and that is Mind Management. Mind Management is a hidden movement game. So you have one person who is hidden, moving throughout this board, trying to recruit spies. Then you have the agents that are trying to find them. The agents are moving on top of the board. They are looking for clues. They are trying to stop the recruiter in their tracks, trying to figure out where they are and stop them from recruiting more workers. It is a challenging game. Hidden movement is not the top mechanic that I enjoy. I do have hidden movement games. I've played several that I love. Letters from Whitechapel was a great one. This one I had a little bit higher hopes for. I thought it actually would be much lower on my list. I enjoyed it, but I didn't fall in love with it as much as I thought I would. Now, with that said, I have not yet played the Recruiter. I think playing the Recruiter, seeing both sides of it, is going to help a little bit. There are things I love with it, so maybe it wasn't necessarily my favorite game the first time I played it, but the fact that as you go through and you play the game, as you lose, you start to collect more things to help you. So they have a pretty good mechanic to be able to catch up if you're playing this repetitively and you're not doing the best. And as you start to unlock these advantages, the game changes. Holy cow, the game changes. You are able to set traps. You're able to do different things. You're able to make it more difficult for the other player, maybe easier for yourself. So the genius aspect of this game is not just in the fact that it's a hidden movement game, but all of a sudden you start unlocking these amazingly wild things that help change the game into one that's more of a gamer's game that I really do enjoy. So this is in my top 40. I was kind of surprised by that, but the more that I play it, the more I do understand why so many people love this game. It really is an exciting hidden movement game, especially when you start to unlock things. So that is Mind Management. Check out the unboxing of it. You actually see the creator of this game commenting with Brad on the actual play and on his thoughts about it. So do check that out. It's pretty cool. Fun little game, Mind Management. Moving to my number 34, this is a gateway game. I think this is probably not a game that a lot of people would throw on their top 40 list, but it's a game that I continue to enjoy to pull out to the table, especially with new players, people who have not really got into the hobby. And that is a cooperative game, small little box, plays pretty quickly, and it's called Forbidden Island. Forbidden Island is, in short, a game where you have these spaces on the board that make up an island, and you are going around as a group of explorers trying to find treasures on that island, but the island is playing against you, and the waters are going to keep rising, and as they rise, parts of the island are going to become flooded, and eventually they're going to sink, and they're going to move away. And so there's a bit of a race to try to find these treasures and get yourself off of the island before the island sinks. There's a little bit of anxiety in it, especially with people who have not played a lot of cooperative games. If you've played a lot of Pandemic or you've played a lot of these cooperative games that you're going to get into heavier gameplay, if you're into the Arkham Horrors and all of the Lovecraftian games, this is going to be a little bit easier than those, but at the same time, it's not so easy that you're never going to want to play it. I love this game. I do enjoy bringing this to the table with gamers and non-gamers alike. Check it out sometime, Forbidden Island. Going down to number 33, this is a roll and write, and I did not think roll and writes would be on my list, but I do have a handful of them on as we go throughout the rest of my list itself. This is by Jamie Stagmeyer, came out during the pandemic. This is a good thing that came out during the pandemic, and that is Rolling Realms. I have not played this a whole lot to get bored of it, and I don't know if I'm going to, which is one of the reasons why it's on this list. Rolling Realms, you've got a handful of different IPs by Stonemaier Games, although there are other people coming up with great cards that will bring other games into the play, but each of the realms play different. And so as you play through this game, you can play solo, you can play with other people. You are always having a different experience. As is true with roll and write games, as you roll your dice, you're going to do something, and you have very limited actions. So how you spend those die rolls are going to influence whether or not you're winning the game or not. You choose what you want to do. You take an action, you might get a benefit with it. You can start to chain together different actions to be able to give you more of a benefit. The more you play, the more you start to see some of these connection points. Jamie did a great job creating this game. I thought it was going to be cheesy. I love Stonemaier games. I have several of the games from them. You'll see some of them on these lists. I didn't think I was going to like this one. I liked it a whole lot more than I ever thought I would. So Rolling Realms, pretty cheap game to pick up. It's not very expensive. If you want to, you can even pick it up completely for free. There's a print and play on Stonemeier's website. You can look for it on BoardGameGeek.com as well. Check it out, Rolling Realms. I think you'll like it. 2 games left for this list. Number 32 is a game that Brad is probably going to laugh at me for, and you all may too if you've seen some of my other videos. This is a game that I did not want to put on my list. I didn't think it was going to be on my list at all. In fact, I really don't think it was. I think this is a game that I added into my list. I don't think I put it on there initially, and I know Pub Meeple did not put it on there initially. If you have seen some of our other videos, you will see that I have made a video saying how much I hate this game and how much I never want to play it again, and I'll be okay with that. And that is the Settlers of Catan. Why is this game on my list? This game, to me, has been a game that has not only brought me into the tabletop hobby, it has brought so many of my friends and family into the tabletop hobby as well. Settlers of Catan is a game I learned about 20 years ago, and I have been playing it ever since. But after a while, you just don't want to play another game. I'm over it. I have played so many, I have all the expansions, and while the expansions add so much to the game, do they add enough to make me want to suggest playing it? Not anymore. However, I will not turn down a game of Settlers of Catan when somebody actually wants to play it. Now, I may grumble a little bit inside. I may say I don't want to do it. I might say I'm definitely going to win. I've played, I think, every strategy you can when it comes to Settlers of Catan, but it is a game that will always likely be on my list because it has meant so much to me over the years. I may not want to play it now. I may be okay if I never play it again. Honestly, I may be perfectly fine if I never play it again. But it deserves a spot because it has hundreds upon hundreds of plays in my collection. It has space on my shelf. I have kept all of the expansion boxes. This is my favorite of the expansions. This is Cities and Knights. That's why I'm showing this lid today. I don't want to play the base game by itself anymore. If I'm going to play anything, it's going to have to be with this expansion with Cities and Knights. But the Explorers and Pirates edition or Traders and Barbarians, you know, they're all going to add something in. I didn't like Seafarers. I never want to play Seafarers. But this one especially, Cities and Knights, if I'm going to play this game, this is probably what I'm going to be bringing to the table. Catan. I hate the game, but it's on my top 40. And last but not least, number 31, a game that actually is going to surprise Brad when he watches this video. It's a game I don't think he thought I liked at all. And that is Gaia Project. Gaia Project to me was fiddly, mentally exhausting, and something that I absolutely loved. I have been looking at Terra Mystica for quite a while, but trying to pull that heavy of a game to the table sometimes is quite difficult. I didn't know if I should go ahead and pick it up. I'm still considering picking it up. Gaia Project, when it started coming out, people started talking about it. They talked about it being a skin of Terra Mystica and how it was taken into the space realm. I am more of the fantasy type person as opposed to the space person. Brad is the space person, not the fantasy person. So when he mentioned that he was wanting to pick up Gaia Project, I was immediately excited because I was getting ready to play a Terra Mystica game, but at the same time I kind of wished it would have been more of the fantasy realm, the Terra Mystica. There is so much going on in this game, and Gaia Project did do a little bit better of a job of taking away some of the fiddliness. Having seen playthroughs of both, having played through Gaia Project, it definitely has improved some of the efficiencies of the game. It is something that I'm looking forward to playing a lot more. It is a brain burner. For me, for some reason, I have played so much more complex games than Gaia Project, but for some reason, this is a brain burner to me. It is something that I have to really think through to try to figure out what's happening next. And I love that in a game. I want to be mentally exhausted when some of these games end. This is one that did it to me. It is a blast to play. I still am thinking about picking up Terra Mystica. I think it's one that I'm going to enjoy. I do like the theme a little bit more. I think I can get Brad to play it as well. Something about the idea of terraforming a planet makes a little bit more sense than trying to terraform all of these planets out in space. Again, I'm not a space person. I understand playing with elves a little bit more than I do playing with these alien races. At least in my mind, I can wrap my head around that a little bit more. So that is Gaia Project. It's my number 31. Great little game. You're building an engine. You do have a bit of area control in the game itself. There's a lot going on. If you want a game that's going to challenge you, take a look for this, or take a look for Terra Mystica, for the original of the games. Both fascinating, both well worth the money, well worth the amount of time it's going to take to play the games. It's not very quick. You're going to sit down, you're going to have a good gaming couple hours in front of you when you play, but it's worth every minute of figuring out the rules and figuring out what to do next. There's some great playthroughs online. Take a look for those. Those are going to help you out. The rulebook's okay, but you're definitely going to get a little bit more mileage for your minute by watching some of the playthroughs as well and how to play videos. So that is Gaia Project. Take a look for it. That is 10 of my top 40 games. The list itself will be posted down below. We're going to put some timestamps in there. Just to do a quick rundown. We've got Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition, Spicy, Root, Thunderstone Advance, World's Fair 1893, Mind Management, Forbidden Island, Rolling Realms, Catan, and Gaia Project. My number 40 through number 31. We're going to be doing some more videos. You'll see my next list come out next. Take a look for that. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos coming up, we'd love for you to subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for the notifications so that you know when the next part of my list comes out, so that you can make your way to the Bad Board Games top 10 board games of all times, both between Brad and myself. Comment down below. Let me know what you enjoy for your top games. Were you surprised by any of the games that are on my list? Are they games that are also on your top 40 list? We'd love to hear a little bit about that. So thank you guys so much for joining me today, talking about some of my favorite games of all times. Lists are going to change. I know that's the case. That's okay. That's what the hobby is all about. So whatever games you enjoy, bring them to the table. Have fun playing with your friends or playing solo, and have yourself a wonderful day. Thanks.